think it was a physical game. I think there's a double standard in how people get their calls. I think Aliyah Boston is the worst officiated post player in the league. She never gets a call. And there's a double standard there, certainly. But again, if it's going to be physical and you're gonna allow us to be physical, then allow both teams to be physical. If you're going to call the holds and you're going to call the chucks, and you're going to then call it both ways. So I mean, I think that we've been pretty consistent in what we're asking for, and I didn't feel like it was consistent.
The Las Vegas Aces Game 5 victory over the Indiana Fever has sparked one of the most heated controversies in recent WNBA history, as fans and analysts alike are now questioning whether the outcome was decided on the court, or by the referees' whistles. At the center of the storm is a glaring imbalance between Aya Wilson and Aliyah Boston, two of the league's premier post players. Across the 5-game series, Wilson shot 26 free throws while Boston, a dominant paint presence and one of the most physical defenders in the league, managed just 17 attempts, and none in the first 2 games.
So while you're looking at that box score, I'm wondering what's really standing out to you there.
I was just looking at the fouls. Like, Liz had 5, Jackie had 5, Chelsea had 5. And that's very interesting to me because I'm not saying we don't foul. Yeah, we foul here and there, but that's very interesting.
For fans, this wasn't simply a difference in style. It looked like a double standard. Clips circulating online highlight questionable calls, missed travels, double dribbles, and an extraordinary number of uncalled moving screens from Wilson, some analysts counting as many as 37 across the series.
Megan had 4.
What? Oh my God, that's interesting. That's what I was looking at. But we'll do better. We gotta play better defense.
By interesting, do you mean that shit?
Yeah, I can't say that because I got a brand to protect. But
Say it, I have no brand.
yeah, it's interesting. But we'll be better.
Each one granted Las Vegas extra possessions and points, while Boston found herself repeatedly hit with fouls, totaling 19, compared to Wilson's 14, despite Boston defending the MVP directly for most of the series. The controversy hit its peak in Game 5. With the Fever down by 4 late in the fourth quarter, Boston was called for her 6th foul on what appeared to be a routine rebound. Replays showed minimal contact, but the whistle ended her night, and effectively ended Indiana's chances. Just minutes later, a questionable moving screen led directly to a Las Vegas three-pointer in overtime. The frustration wasn't limited to fans. Fever players openly spoke about the lack of consistency, pointing out that if officials allowed physical play, it needed to apply to both sides.
Well, it's hard for us to find flow when there's a foul call every 10 seconds. I mean, it just really is. And when they're at the free throw line, we can't get up and down the floor. And that's a challenge. They were much more aggressive and physical defensively. We didn't counter that with our off-ball actions or with our back cuts. So they took us out of our comfort zone. I mean, offense is about rhythm, it's about timing, it's about spacing. We allowed them to do that, and they kept us from doing it.
Boston herself has long been considered one of the most poorly officiated post players in the league, and this series added more weight to that reputation. Even more puzzling was Aya Wilson's own post-game comments, framing Las Vegas as victims of officiating despite her clear statistical advantage at the free throw line. For many, the irony was hard to ignore. Fever head coach Christy Sides and players like Kelsey Mitchell and Odyssey Sims, who delivered heroic performances under pressure, kept the focus on competing, but the imbalance overshadowed their resilience. The Fever, missing key depth and fighting uphill, still forced overtime against the defending champions, only to see the whistles dictate the finish.
Aliyah, how will you remember this group and this special run that you've had all season?
Yeah, I mean, this has been my best year. Seriously, I think with the people that we had in the locker room, the amount of fun that I had on the court, off the court, in the locker room, we just talked about how special this group was and how we're always going to be connected. And honestly, that's how I feel like these women became my sisters so quickly, and it was honestly just some of the best basketball I've had.
For the WNBA, this isn't just about one series. It's about credibility. If fans believe outcomes are shaped more by officiating than by players, the integrity of the league suffers. Indiana's rallying cry, "We over me," lives on, with Boston and Caitlin Clark already focused on building toward a championship run. But unless questions about 26 free throws, phantom fouls, and ignored violations are addressed, the league risks leaving fans convinced that the game is rigged, not won.